Okay. Victoria, good to see you. I hope you'll join the convo today. You know what? Because I don't plan on being here too long. So, my people. Listen, so this is what I'm requesting. I'm going to just talk for a little bit. And then what I was hoping for anyway, is that people, just some of you, the regulars, Tapio, good to see you. Just the regulars, Victoria, a few more people as they come in. I would like to just see you guys. You know, you're there every week or whenever I do these lives. So it would just be nice to know who you guys are. So the link I have sent, the link is just at the bottom. and I've also put it in the chat. If you just come on for 2 minutes, that's all I'm looking for. Just need to say hello to you, thank you, and all of that. So it'd be good to see you. But I'll give you some time to think. Victoria's asking, will you add membership to your channel? Yeah. In fact, let me good question, but let me just explain. Let me just go through this as we allow people to come in. First of all, I hope you guys can hear me well, right? I hope so. Let me know if you can hear me. Okay. Right. So let me give you guys a little bit of background about myself. So my primary job, actually, is it, I guess the primary job. Yeah, my primary job is a filmmaker. So for the last 15 years, I've been a filmmaker. I've written quite a few shorts, feature films, and as you know, thank you, Tapia. And as you know, a few documentaries which I've put on the channel. I started this YouTube channel about 12 or 13 years ago, 2010, sorry. So 2010, I started this YouTube channel. And at the time, as you know, YouTube wasn't like I'm trying to think. I think the longest video you could put on YouTube at the time couldn't have been more than about 10 minutes. So it was never Lizzie, good to see you. Lizzie, I hope I'm gonna see you on the chat. Not in the chat, on the stream. I want some of you to jump on today, please. Let me just see you guys and say hello for the first time. So here's the link. Anyway, so I started this YouTube channel 2010, and it was never there to do anything other than put the odd trailer for my films, the odd whatever, and as you know, the film business started to take a nosedive from the theatrical and so on towards streaming around 2012, 2013. So anyway, long story short, around 2010, when I started, I was just putting out little clips. Some of the things I've even removed or made private, but I was just putting out things for my films to supplement my films. And I made a film in 2011 called Woolwich Boys, which got distribution across the UK on TV and so on, and across Africa. After that, I started producing a lot of other people's films, independent films here in the UK, and then releasing the films either theatrically, streaming, some on Netflix, some on Amazon, and so on. No, not Amazon, Apple. Sorry, Apple. So the idea of doing Lizzie, you're shy. Don't worry, I won't hold it against you. But the idea of doing this YouTube thing was never really part of my plan. So needless to say, I wasn't really feeding my YouTube channel for a good like 8 years. And then I started making these documentaries. My first documentary, Dahomey and Vodou, which is about where I go to Benin and Togo and make a documentary about the Dahomey Kingdom and the Voodoo spiritual system. Very important documentary. As a matter of fact, it went into, in fact, it's an interesting story, but the documentary that was made by Lupita, I was told, can't verify it, that they used my documentary as a reference for some of the information as to in terms of where they should go. This is what I was told by somebody who was on the ground. Also, Jimon Hunsu made a documentary as well called In Search of Vodou, I think. And he actually worked with my camera operator, who I worked on the Dahomey Kingdom. So in many ways, the documentary was what's the word? Was pretty important. But of course, like most things, the importance of it doesn't come until Hollywood decides to take it on. So needless to say, I couldn't find anywhere to sell it. So I started putting it on YouTube. I put it on YouTube thinking, okay, you know what, maybe a few thousand people will see it. We'll see what happens. Lo and behold, within the first month, first day or so, no, I can't remember now. So I put it up around 2019. So around 2019, I put the first part, second part, and then, it started to spike. I mean, we weren't doing big numbers, maybe 5,000, 10,000 views. And then I went and shot another documentary in Mali, the documentary called 1,000 Years to Timbuktu, which is in 2 parts on the channel. There's one called Djene and the Dogon, and another one called, the part 2 is called, What's the second one called now? I can't remember. Ugh. Anyway, the two parts, they're on the channel. So those two documentaries also did pretty well, but around 5,000, 10,000 views. So they were never really, I still never thought YouTube will be this long-term thing. I just thought this is a good place to put my documentaries, keep me in the atmosphere where people can at least see it, and I'm not having to fight with distribution companies who didn't understand the thing I was doing. And then the pandemic comes in 2020. And literally the 2 weeks lead up to the pandemic, I don't know, there was just this, the documentaries just went viral, sort of viral. And overnight we went from approximately 10, maybe 10, 20,000 views on each one to like 100,000, like overnight, over the course of like, maybe no, not overnight, but like over the course of like a week. So that surprised me. And I went from, at that point, 9 years of having YouTube with maybe a handful of subscribers to 1,000 subscribers, and we eventually became monetized. And I think I did a couple of live videos in and around the pandemic, but mostly, again, never really thinking long term with this thing, never really thinking that this could be something that I could do. And so I was mainly talking, for those of you who were there, I know Kwame Olatunji and co, a few other people who were there regularly, they saw these lives and they were like, you know, they were mostly about going back to Africa. My plan at the time after the pandemic was to move back to Africa. In fact, I went to live in Nigeria during the second, in the UK, we had these two lockdowns. So the second one, I moved my whole family away, and the plan was to stay there, but the conditions weren't perfect. So we came back. So those were the lives that I was doing. And then I was putting out short clips, short clips, short clips. Now, again, I went and shot more documentaries. I put out another documentary called Kano. I shot another documentary just before the pandemic about a man called Omoyele Sowore, who ran for president of Nigeria on 2 occasions, founder of Sahara Reporters. And then I put that on the channel. And it was amazing because the channel, even though it was growing steadily, I never really thought, truthfully, I never really thought about, you know, even 5,000 subscribers. But then within a few years of the pandemic, from the year 2020, when we first hit 1,000 to now getting to 10,000 3 years later, you know, it's pretty impressive. And what I've also seen is there have been a lot of people who have been contributing to the conversations, contributing to the super chats, and also contributing to the general encouragement that comes from doing this on a regular basis. So I just wanted to use this opportunity to thank you all. Lizzie, you're shy. This is a concern. Victoria says she's shy too. You guys are playing with me. So, by the way, in the post that I did this morning, where I tried to mention as many people as possible that I could remember. Some of you I couldn't find, like Tapiwa, your thing, I couldn't find your handle. A few other people I couldn't find your handle, so I think I just wrote your names there. But you know, I just wanted to use this opportunity to say thank you, even if you guys don't want to come on. But I know someone has to come on because I need to see somebody. Tapiwa, your storytelling and filmmaking is really good. Didn't find your channel in the early days, but got put onto you via Have Hope. Okay. And Daniel, wow, very well deserved growth, onwards and upwards. Thank you very much, my brother. I appreciate it. Lizzie, thank you. This is people who support. The second Mali film you titled is The Rise of Islam in Mali. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, my sister. Hello, Soul Fat. Hey, Galactic Soul. Galactic Soul is one of the oldest people as well. Galactic Soul, the link is there. Please jump on if you can, my brother. My sister. Sorry, Galactic. I got this wrong last week. My sister, Victoria, thank you so much for the super chat. Victoria, this your shyness needs to stop. You need to stop this shyness. It's just too, you don't even have to put yourself on the camera. I just wanted to say, just hear you guys' voices and let you know that we're all in this together. I think the important thing, so thank you for the super chat. I think the important thing, reason why I do these lives more often now is really because of, it's 2 reasons. I think for a very, very long time, I've been sat back watching the points of view regarding us as a people. There are a lot of people that are on YouTube, and with all due respect to them, there are many people that are doing good work, but there are a lot of people who are just pure hustlers. They don't really know. They don't really travel. They They're not genuine about what they're trying to do for our people collectively. Then there's also people who try to separate. They try to do the divide and conquer thing. It's so ironic because there's a video I put a short that I put out that's gone viral. It's got like 1 million views now. Short about how African people see culture, how African people see race versus how African Americans see race. And if you remember, we did that was in a live a few weeks ago, a few months ago, and many of the people just in the comment section, just I could see just they didn't get it. They didn't get it. They still feel that this is about division. You see, for us to go forward as a people, first of all, we have to acknowledge that there is some uniformity in what we are going through. You see, we in America, we in Africa, we in Europe, it's the same complexion. We all have the same complexion. When I say complexion, I don't mean in terms of fair skin or dark skin. We all have the same complexion in the sense that when people see us, they identify us as Black. In other words, they identify us as African people. So you could be somebody from deep, dark Senegal. You could be somebody from Barbados. You could be somebody from Brazil. You could be somewhere from one of the banlieues of Paris and be of African descent. They don't really care. They look at all of us as African people. So in that sense, we have a similar struggle. So this divide and conquer thing that people seem to want to perpetuate on a daily basis, particularly on this YouTube thing, it bothered me. My brother, Dr. Cambon, told me he doesn't want me to be on YouTube. And he's got there's a platform there, bbtumi.tv, where a lot of my stuff is backed up to. But he's very adamant about not being on this YouTube thing. And me, myself, I also feel there's a certain level of hypocrisy. I'm there trying to tell people to divest from the West. And here we are on their platform, enriching them and so on. But the way I look at it is we're playing a different sort of game. Our people tend to be here. And I think as the years go by, as long as the content is genuine and sincere, the people, when you build a community, the people eventually follow you wherever you go or follow the message wherever you go. And I think this is where we are in 2023. We have the leaders that we had who spoke boldly in the 1950s, the 1960s, the 1970s. Ironically, I think just recently it was the anniversary of the death of Dr. King. But those people who were our spokespeople, and in Africa we had many as well, in terms of leadership. In the West, in America, in the Caribbean, we had people who spoke for us. But in 2023, we don't have people who speak for us. Everybody speaks. In other words, somebody goes and puts out something on their Twitter, on their Instagram, a message about, and if that person has followers, or if that person has a community of people who believe in what they say, they just follow it. And so this is where the fake news thing comes from, where we are just allowing people who don't necessarily have any qualification to speak for us to just talk. And by the way, I'm not here trying to make it seem like I'm the voice of anybody. I'm just merely pointing out that there are some people who are careful about the things that they say, careful about bringing people together. And so that is what I'm trying. This is what I hope I'm doing, and I hope I continue to do it. There's a lot of other people who do the same thing. Lizzie, facts. I battle with them from time to time. Yes, you know the people I'm talking about. You know exactly the people I'm talking about. I am Courtney Michelle. Thank you very much, my sister, for all the support. I also want to shout out to Courtney. Courtney is one of those people who I think is an ally in that sense, who still thinks about the collectivity. We all have our concentration. Like, I'm an African man living in Europe. You might be an African woman living in the American South. You might be an African person living in Trinidad. The point is, we still recognize that we are all part of the same thing. And by coming together once in a while, it doesn't have to be every single day, but coming together every once in a while allows this message to continue to be transported. We cannot afford to be sensitive. And this is what I keep saying. So PY, I think the message is most important. The most important thing at the end of the day, the platforms may be necessary, a necessary evil, but I get what you mean. Absolutely. You see, because here we are on a platform which at any moment in time, if there's anything they don't like, they could just shut us down. I think we have to be cognizant of this fact, because if we allow ourselves to think that this is freedom, we have the freedom of expression. Yes, to an extent. And I always talk about this. There's freedom of speech, and then there's freedom after speech. So even me, sometimes when I'm putting things out, I know that, especially with the shorts, I know that there's certain people that are going to not look at the nuance. They're not going to take their time to understand, and I get that. But you have to recognize that if ultimately people have to hear the message, and if they are able to tune their mind the right way, they will be able to go and find out a bit more. So that's what I'm trying to do. Galactic Soul, good to see you. When you read, those are the people who will be drawn to high quality content. Thank you. When you read, those are the people. Oh yeah, I think I get what you mean. I am Courtney. We are strength in unity. Absolutely, absolutely. We are strength in unity. Uh, the world class. Congrats on 10K. I'm here because of I am Courtney Michelle. Courtney, you and your fans, man. You and your fans. Thank you for coming anyway. Have you done a video on the Arab slave trade? Can you recommend a good book on the subject? Yes. What's the book? We did, I think we did 2 lives on, I think on the Arab slave trade. Was it the Arab slave trade? And another one where I talked about how Africans became Muslim. And I think, again, you have to look at those things hand in hand. When you look at the northern parts of Africa as you go into Sinai, so if you look at the map of Africa, you have Egypt on the northeast corner, and then you've got the Suez Canal, and then you've got Sinai. So essentially, you're connecting Africa to Saudi Arabia and Africa into Palestine, whatever they want to call it, but into Palestine. So as culture moves west from that part of the world, Arabic culture moves west, there is the blockage of the Sahara Desert. Now, the Romans had never gone beyond the Sahara Desert. So when the Arabs came in and defeated the Romans, because they were already using camels, they were able to penetrate further south, but they never conquered it in that sense. They came with the Islamic faith. And as they were coming south with the Islamic faith, they took slavery back north. Okay, so this is part of so as Islam is coming in, slavery is going out, if you know what I mean, or enslaved people are going out. So I have talked about it before. Check it out. I don't remember when probably last year or this year. I can't remember. Thank you, my sister. I appreciate that. Goodness. Oh, okay. World class. We definitely need to key in on the mindset. Absolutely. Now, listen, people. I didn't want to be here long, but I need to talk to some of you. Some of you need to jump on the link. Please jump on the link. I want to just see what some of you. Okay, no, maybe not see. I want to hear what you look like. So I don't know if you understood that unintentional pun. I want to hear what you look like. Okay, so you don't have to speak. You don't have to be on camera, but it would be good to just know who you are. So yeah, so this is what this is about. And I think going forward with the channel, what I want to try and do, I have this documentary, this 4-part series that is that I did on Egypt, and I'm going to Cannes, God willing. I'm going to Cannes, the Cannes Film Festival next month. I'm going to try and sell it, hopefully. I've also got a few other projects that I'm going to be out there for a little while at the middle of next month. So I may not be live, but what I'm going to try and do is have a facility where for a small fee, people could join a membership. And then I will put the first episode and possibly the last episode for people with that membership to be able to see. I have to figure it out because, if any of it gets out, then distributors might not sell it or buy it rather. So we'll figure it out. But going forward with the channel though, other things that I want to do, I want to try and bring you into a little bit more of my world. So I think there are 2 things. One is, I think the more we know about Africa and African leaders and how they connect to the Americas, I think the more we will be able to understand our similarities. Because I think For instance, you take the 1960s, everybody thinks of the 1960s as the Cold War. So the death of Malcolm, death of Martin, death of JFK, death of Bobby Kennedy, death of so many different people. We also see it conversely as the independence era. So the 1960s is when dozens and dozens of countries in Africa become independent. But what happens to the leadership that creates that? It's all part of the same thing. Coincidentally, the Black Panther Party starts late 60s, but in the early 60s, you still had the Martin Luther King. You had the people who, for lack of a better word, the suit wearing people. And then by the late 60s, you have the jacket and afro wearing people. Where do these Black Panthers, especially when they start getting persecuted, where do they start to run to? Eldridge Cleaver runs to Cuba and then runs to Algeria. What's going on in Algeria in the late 1960s, early 70s? You have this big African cultural festival where, and in fact, if you watch the documentary Eldridge Cleaver, Black Panther, there is a very important lunch that's happening with the revolutionary leaders from Mozambique, from Zimbabwe, from South Africa, who are fighting against apartheid, fighting against the Portuguese. And then you have Black Panther Party members like Eldridge Cleaver, and what's the guy who's the artist for the Black Panther? He used to draw these sketches. I forget his name. He'll come back to me in a second. But you have all these people sat around the table, breaking bread, talking about their different struggles and how they relate. That was in the 1960s, early 70s. And since then, we have no conversations like that. The Organization of African Unity, or the African Union, has just gone off to do its own thing. The various organizations like NAACP, Black Panther Party has obviously dissolved, but all these other organizations, they're not about trying to bridge the gap between Africa, the Caribbean, even the South Pacific, with the Americas. There's no connection anymore. And so I think we are very fortunate. We are very blessed to have this platform where we from all over the world, and I think Emery Douglas, thank you very much. From all over the world, we're able to come together and just meet and discuss these things. And I think it's pointless discussing without finding solutions. I think the number one solution for all of us is to go get yourself a plane ticket and go to Africa. Go and see the land of your ancestors. Go and connect yourself with the soil. Take your legs out of your shoes and put them flat on the ground. Feel that soil and that energy going inside of you. And once it goes inside of you, you'll have a different understanding, not only about Africans, but about yourself. And I think once you do that, you will start to think about finding solutions, which is why it frustrates me that there's this schism between us, issue between us, where some of us who have never been anywhere, maybe not all of them, but many people who have never been anywhere will just go and boldly criticize because they don't like a message. Yeah. And I want to just, before I round up, I just want to say this, give this message to my brothers and sisters in the United States. I think you have to understand that the influence that African Americans have had over the last 50 years, I'll go a little bit further, 70 years on the world. And I'm talking through music, through entertainment, through sport, because let's face it, the arts and entertainment are the key drivers of any society. The society goes forward in the 21st century, 20th and 21st century, society goes forward because of the arts. Everything that we do, if you think about the way we talk, our slang, the policies that are introduced for the purpose of entertainment. We even call it social media. It's still entertainment, right? So in the last 70 years, the influence African American people of African descent in the Americas have had on the rest of the world is unprecedented. No race of people have been copied, have been imitated, and have been emulated by the world as much as African American people. So there is a responsibility there. And I think where we're getting confused, why people get so sensitive when there's any sort of criticism to those same African Americans, is because we don't recognize that the creation of such art, the creation of such entertainment is as a result of very intensely harsh, a very intense, harsh oppressor right on your doorstep. I said this last time. I said, you live in the belly of the beast. You live in Babylon. If you live in Babylon, it's very difficult for you to see things from from a non-Babylon perspective. What I mean very simply is, when you live in the belly of the beast, it's a hostile environment. And if it's a hostile environment, you have to take yourself to an environment where it's less hostile, so that you can be able to put yourself, at the very least, in a similar place to where your ancestors would have been. Joanna has just jumped in. I'm just gonna add you to the stream.
Hey,
Joanna, how you
hello.
doing, sister?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm very well, my sister. It's good to see you. Good to
It's
see you. I wanted to just I'm so glad you came on. You know, maybe you put some of these people to shame because they're a bit too nervous. How are you anyway? Where are you? Where are you right now?
I'm in Texas,
Okay.
and I hope you don't hear an echo. I do. I don't know. I
Yeah.
um I started watching your documentaries during the pandemic. I found you during the pandemic.
Right.
I
Okay.
am an information junkie, and I love all things Africa.
Yeah.
I even have, since I was a small child, have had dreams about exploring Africa, possibly even living in Africa one day. And I'm a woman of a certain age. I still haven't made it to the continent, but that's
Mhm.
a goal.
Yeah.
Used to be a dream, now it's a goal.
Good. Good.
Yeah. So I do appreciate everything that you do, and all the ways that you contribute to the zeitgeist as far as folks like myself having information and having insights about people that actually grew up on the continent. I think that is your history, right? You grew
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
in
Yeah. So I grew up right
Africa.
across. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Well, thank you. Thank you. Let me ask you.
uh-huh.
I'm going to ask you a slightly personal question. What stopped you from going so far?
um, money,
Right.
money, and um, of course, I like anybody on the planet, we have been fed certain ideas about Africa.
Yeah.
And I am from a small town, rural Oklahoma, Langston. In
Mm.
case anybody from Langston's watching, I doubt it, but I'm from Langston, Oklahoma. Grew up in a family with very limited means. We were poor,
Right.
basically.
Right. Right.
And I did not have any prospects in
Mm.
Africa. I didn't have confidence or faith in myself or the continent to
Mm.
support me. I didn't
Mhm.
want to leave America poor and go to Africa and be poor.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one of the things. I didn't really have the means or the confidence to um, and again, I'm talking about living there. Of
Mhm.
course, to visit, um, same thing. I've been raising my children, trying to make sure people have what they need,
Mhm.
and I have 4 children. And as a mother, it seems a bit selfish for me to get a plane ticket and go to Africa. That's probably what I'm
Mhm.
going to have to do.
Mhm.
So I've always, it just seemed like a really insurmountable goal to save up enough money for myself and my husband and my 4 children
Mhm. Mhm.
to, to travel to Africa just to visit.
Mhm.
So that's been money has been the really the biggest impediment, and it's probably as much mental as it is anything else. So.
I appreciate the honesty. I think money will always be the major obstacle. But I will say this, my sister, because I think it's very. I don't know if you ever saw Roots: The Next Generation, the second part to the Roots
I
series.
haven't seen that yet.
Okay, go check it out. I think there might
Okay.
be some episodes on YouTube, but it's essentially what it does is it charts Alex Haley's, the author of Roots. It charts his life as he was trying to search for himself, and it led him back to going back to his grandparents, his aunties, and asking them about the stories they had heard, the oral tradition that was passed down about this guy Kunta Kinte that came from a long time ago. Now,
Mhm.
because he was a writer, he said, okay, if they say he came from Africa, where in Africa? So he goes and starts doing, he spends the next decade of his life trying to find out where. Now, the story in itself is not completely, it's not kosher in that sense. It might be partly fictional, but the character in Roots to Next Generation essentially spends the next 10 years trying to find out where he came from. And he had no money. He was living in like a small studio apartment, was really struggling, was turning down major opportunities. And eventually he found out from a genealogist that the name, that there's a certain word that they kept using that dates, that goes to a place in Gambia. And so on a whim, he borrows money, goes to Gambia and spends some time out there to the point where he's really, really doesn't really know what to do. But then eventually there's a miracle happens, and one guy hears a name that he mentions, the place called Jufure. Jufure being this village which his family name would have originated from. And so what he does is he goes to this place, and whilst he's there, they do there's a thing that we have called griots, these people who just sit down and their job is to recite the oral tradition. Now if you go to West Africa, they sing it, they tend to sing it. But anyway, so he sat there and listened to this guy, and eventually after a few hours he heard a story, the story that he'd heard his aunties tell him about how their ancestor was kidnapped.
Wow.
And it was like, oh my god, this is where I'm from. And as he greeted, so immediately in true African culture, everybody just picked him up and said, "Oh my God, where are you? You've come back home," and so on. They gave him the babies to hold and so on. And just as he's leaving, there's a boy that runs screaming, saying, "I'm also Kinte." In other words, you're my cousin.
Uh-huh.
You're my cousin. You're Kinte. I'm Kinte. Because obviously Alex Haley's great 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 grandfather was Kunta Kinte. So
Yes.
this kid comes up and says, "I'm also a Kinte." Right? The reason why I use that story is because I think the first thing before you even start planning is to
Mm-hmm.
have yourself identify a particular place in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be done. And I think AfricanAncestry.com is a
Mm-hmm.
good one. I think
I've
it,
done it.
so you've done it. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So you've done
My
it. So
brother, I got my youngest brother to do it. I'm the oldest of two sets of children, my mother's and my father's. And
okay.
so I got my youngest father's son to take the African ancestry test.
Okay.
And I was
Okay.
so proud to learn about those people.
So where are you from?
So my father's line originated in Guinea-Bissau,
Guinea-Bissau. Okay.
the
Okay.
Balanta people.
Okay. Okay.
I,
Yep.
I love I love their history and their story. It makes me very proud. And my mother's line is a 90, I think they said a 95% match to the Kanuri people.
Kanuri
In
people, northern Nigeria. Northern Nigeria.
right. So of course they traded, they were traders and they traded in people. So that doesn't make me feel so good.
The,
But and also the 95% um, match means to me that it's Kanuri-ish.
yeah.
There
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
be some, some groups of people who
Yeah. From
didn't
around the
donate,
region. Yeah.
yeah, who didn't donate their DNA to this project, who maybe were more akin to, but yeah, I've done the African ancestry, and if I could also just plug, I mean, they're not Black owned, but oh God, yeah, I can't think of them. Something lineage or anyway, they do the, is it called autosomal? Somebody in the comments maybe
Well,
can.
somebody in the comments, if you know what it is, just mention it.
Autosomal. Anyway, they can look at the different batches of DNA and where they originated from.
Right. Down to
Yeah.
the ethnic group. Okay.
Yeah, down to the ethnic group. So that's very exciting. So I got even more information there. So
That
there
is amazing. That is amazing.
it
Because
is.
The Kanuri people, one of my best friends is a Kanuri person. I think
Okay.
one thing, my sister, one thing, and this is for everybody, take the slavery thing and the slavers thing out of your mind when you look at your origin.
Yeah.
Because I think, again, looking at it from a point of view of being in the States, based off the education that we have in the States and in the West in general, it's
Mm-hmm.
so easy to just say, okay, we did this. They were slavers. No, it's never ever that simple.
Right, right.
Never ever that simple. But I think ultimately it's a self identity. So you are Kanuri and from Guinea Bissau. Keep in mind, Guinea Bissau, by the way, even in the last 20, 30 years, had probably, if you go to the likes of Howard University, there's one guy they teach about, a man called Amilcar Cabral. Amilcar Cabral was a revolutionary leader from Guinea Bissau.
Mm-hmm.
This is even in the last century. He was
Okay.
a great leader. So that's even in modern history, let alone what they did in the ancient times. So what I'm bringing it all home for you. You've
Okay.
recognized that you are from Nigeria and from Guinea-Bissau.
Okay.
So I think before when maybe the whole thing about Africa seemed like it was too big, now you
Right.
have pinpointed two places that you need to try
Exactly.
and get to, at least one
Right.
of them.
Yeah.
So I think now going forward, you know where you're from. It's about going and seeing where you're from. And I think as time goes on, I think you need to plan around ensure that you can go and visit at least one of them in the next few years. Ironically, the Kanuri people had a very great empire that after Mali died, after the empire of Songhai, power shifted to this part of Africa. So the Kanuri were really one of the last great empires of that part of West Africa. So I'm actually going to do a documentary on them. But the area where the Kanuri are is in like Niger and Nigeria. And that region is full of like there's some terrorism going on at the moment, like
Yeah, I
Islamic
know.
terrorism.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's why I haven't gone yet. But I will say this: you have pinpointed two places, and I think focus on those two places. Guinea-Bissau is a very poor country, as you know, but it's a very tropical place, and it's around a lot of great countries,
hmm
Guinea, Senegal, and so on. So please, my sister, uh, think about it, plan towards it, even if it's just you. You need to try and make it happen because you will feel very differently when you show up knowing full well that your ancestors left that soil and
yeah,
found themselves in America, and no one has gone back home. So
right,
either you or your children have to be the first one to go back home in your family line.
yeah,
Think about it like that, and think about it like this also. That Kunta story. There are cousins you left back home. So when your ancestor left, he left siblings, he left parents, he left
mhm,
grandparents, he left uncles and aunties.
right.
Those people are still there somewhere.
Yeah. And my siblings, actually, my father's children, some of them um, want to plan a trip.
Right. Okay.
So there was a
Okay.
little bit of a typo on the certificate they gave my brother. They told him, or the certificate said he was from the Volanta people of Gabon, and I'm like, what?
Gabon is like a completely different area. Okay.
I know. So that was so frustrating for me. And it was during the pandemic, I think, when I got him to, or right before maybe, when I got him to everybody to pitch in, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
because the test is expensive. So I got finally wrangled everybody to give their piece. And then, he sent off his specimen or whatever. And we got the certificate back. And I'm like, and the brothers and sisters who are not necessarily into this quote unquote Africa stuff are like, okay, so when we going? When we going? And I'm like, well, just hold up, y'all. Just wait. Wait a minute, because we had to get that straight first. But then again, it's during the pandemic,
Mm.
and all kinds of craziness is happening in my own household during the pandemic. So I'm just overwhelmed with everything. And finally, here, like in the last month, I got up the nerve to because I did reach out to them, but they just gave me some canned answer. I reached out to them on Facebook, but when I actually emailed or contacted them through their website, then someone actually researched our case, and they were like, yeah, there was a typo, and then you are from the Balanta people. in Guinea-Bissau, not Gabon. And I was like, okay, thank you. So now I can report back to my brothers and sisters who didn't really know there was an issue in the first place because
Right.
they don't know Gabon from Guinea-Bissau. Well, like now I can say, okay, y'all, we can plan now. We can
Yeah.
we can get it together. Let's go see our people. But yeah, that was a whole thing. But that's been resolved. So
I'm glad to hear it, man. But I think it's so amazing when you at least have some places in mind that this is where my ancestors are from. I think
right,
the next step has to be returning
get
home.
there. Yeah, we
Has
got to
to be.
get there.
You have to look at it as I'm returning home because someone left and never came back. You are the person that has to return, and that's and it's and again, it's taking yourself out of the hostility of being in the West, like I was saying earlier, being in Babylon, where you're in the belly of the beast, essentially. We may not feel it. You may not feel it every day, because you're so used to it. But once you step foot in Africa and you feel the pressure has just dropped significantly, regardless of the poverty and all that, the pressure has dropped significantly. You're less worried about standing out in public.
Hmm.
These are things that are so important. So even if you didn't know where you were from, just being able to go and experience that, I think ultimately will help.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm glad I
And
talked to you today.
I'm very glad I talked to you. I'm glad you were the
Yeah.
first one. I thank you so much for calling in. Thanks for having the courage to call in as well.
Yeah, because it's Sunday morning, and this is my Sunday morning attire. Or it's afternoon, right? It's afternoon now, but it's
Right. Yeah.
Sunday, so the morning bleeds into the afternoon. But I'm glad I went ahead and hopped on and talked to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I am waiting to hear that you've been home. And I'm
Okay.
going to be praying
Okay.
for you, my sister.
I'll be reporting back to you.
And if you need anything, if you need any information, any contacts, let me know. I'll be happy to pass them over to you.
Okay, I will. And how do I do that? Do you have
So
like your email in the?
yeah, let me put my email in the chat.
And thank you for the work that you do. I know
Thank you,
you put
sister.
a lot of your heart, soul, and your own resources into it. So
Thank you.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
We
you
do
very
it.
much.
It's very much appreciated and
Thank you.
needed.
Thank you, sister. Thank you.
All
God
right.
bless you. Speak soon.
God bless you. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Wow, that was beautiful, man. So it's man, it's when you and I can't wait for you guys to see this new piece I did on Egypt, because again, it's not easy to do this sort of work, especially oh, my sister Courtney's in here. But it's not easy to do this sort of work, especially when the way things are, resources, criticism, and so on. But I'm glad that there are people that watch the work. Thank you very much, Gail at night. Appreciate that. I'll come back to the comments, but I cannot leave my sister waiting. Auntie Courtney.
Hey! I am so excited for you. I am so
Yes,
happy
sister.
for you. Quite frankly, I think your page should be at 100K, but we'll
Soon
take the
come.
10K.
Soon come. Soon
And
come.
you are ahead of your time.
Hmm.
And I support you wholeheartedly. And it's really because when I was doing research on the Dahomey tribe, I came across your page and I literally binge watched
Hmm.
a lot. And
Hmm.
I just learned so much. And I'm a fan.
Thank you,
And
sister.
I just wanted to come up here to say, congratulations on the 10K, 20K around the corner.
Hmm.
And I'm just excited for you.
Thank
You are
you.
you are needed.
Thank you, my
You're
sister.
needed.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you. Um, the this whole YouTube world is crazy. It's black YouTube. Anything black and social media related, there's some psychos.
You
You know,
have no idea.
and even the people who we tend to put at the pinnacle and say these are the authorities on this, authorities on that. It's very hard to it's very hard, especially when they're throwing these dollars at you,
Mhm.
and you find even me, like even over the last few weeks as we were approaching the 10K, I noticed like there was this kind of push to focus on one particular subject, this particular I'm like, no,
Yeah.
because ultimately we have to really understand that there our existence as people is not tied to one thing. It's not tied to just slavery, right? We
Mhm.
have a world that existed before we became enslaved or before we started to enslave you, however you want to call it. But there are people that are so happy to focus on this one area. And I
Mhm.
think for me, even the onus for starting the documentaries in the first place is purely because I started having children. And as an African person, I was so ignorant about my own culture. I knew some history, but I didn't really I didn't really value the importance of studying my history.
Mhm.
So how much more others who live in a society where it's not even encouraged to understand our history. So when I find anybody who focuses on our existence, like your channel, for instance, focuses on our existence and how it relates to the totality of us as people,
Mhm.
I'm very encouraged. And there
Mhm.
are not a lot of people like that.
Mhm.
There are not a lot of people like that. Because there's some people that like to focus on the division and focus on the issues. So I want to thank you personally, my sister. I always hype you up. I always hype you up. In particular, because we need to find you a husband. We need to find you
We're not making it streaming. Not today. Tomorrow.
another day, another day. We'll talk about that another day. But no, but because listen, my sister, it means a lot that you came on today, honestly. And
Yeah.
10K is great. It's not I didn't go on to YouTube to have subscribers. It was just, like I was saying at the very beginning, it was merely just to put some of the stuff out there,
Mhm.
and to be here now where we have 10K and it's growing by the why am I having this echo? Why am I having my echo?
It sounds fine over here. I'll mute while you talk. Maybe it's me.
Uh, okay, yeah, maybe. But anyway, to be here where we have 10K and it's still growing, and there seems to be a community of people that subscribe to what it is that we are doing, because it's all of us. I'm very encouraged by it. So yes, my sister. But Courtney, we have a little thing. We started at New Year's. I said you need to
You
come home
did.
this year. You need to come home this year.
I plan on. Well, I was going to ask you because I think I saw something maybe that you posted, or regardless,
Go for
because
it.
you're
What was it?
now
What was it?
like today, you're meeting the people that are subscribed to you, and people are coming up congratulating you.
Mhm.
And I've known of some people that said, "Hey, we are going to plan a trip to Ghana for 2024." And to my subscribers that are interested, this is what we're going to do. And so I'm like, I wonder if he's going to do that, because you are wanting us to go. I want to go. You know the ins and out. Your document, you've been everywhere around the world and back. So have you planned or thought about doing your own little tribal guide with people that want to go and want to experience Africa that has not? Are you going to gather the people?
Huh. You know,
Mm,
I've been thinking about it for a few years, but it's the Courtney. Look,
I'm hearing excuses right now.
I know. Maybe I should, and maybe I
Maybe
should
you
think.
should.
Maybe I should think more about it. You see, I guess people in the chat too. If there's anybody who's interested in going, because we did the show last week where I was like, look, any contacts that you need, and I'm directing people to different places and so on. Maybe I
Mhm.
should do my own. Maybe. You
And
see,
what?
like, if you say to me now, Courtney, you want to go to
Yeah,
Ghana,
I
I
do.
will, I will plan, I will book a flight, and I'll tell you book a flight. And when we get there, I will manage everything for you. You see, like that, I could do. But
Okay.
like organize it for like 10, 20 people, that for me, I don't know if I have the brain capacity. I don't know.
For 10 people. And I mean, what a documentary that would be
Yeah.
with people that are here, even in the States, that has never set foot, and the realization of when they land, and like you just said, putting their feet in the soil, man, that's something to capture. I know I'm gonna probably start crying, but I'm just an emotional gal. But I see that vision, and I see you spearheading it. What a documentary! I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. Look, I see it too. I
No.
see it.
You know why? Also, Court, because you're from Benin, right? You're from Benin and
Mhm.
Congo. So Benin, obviously, for me is I'm going to Benin. My oldest son is starting boarding school in Togo next year.
Mhm.
So we're going through Benin. This What is going on? Hang on. Maybe might mute your thing quickly.
I don't know. You sound fine over here. I don't hear it. Maybe
Okay.
it's in here, but you.
So we're going to Togo in October. My wife and my kids to enroll him for next year.
Mhm.
Um, and we're gonna go through Benin. And Benin is one of those places. No one really knows about Benin, but it's such a beautiful place.
Mhm.
So, Court, if
Yes,
you're down, this is what I'll suggest. Right before then, this summer,
I'm
I
listening.
will personally organize a trip to Benin. Okay, I'm gonna. We need to talk about it. Iron out the details.
Okay.
Organize a trip to Benin. I'll book my flight. Say I'm going to so places, and then I will put it out there. Maybe through you,
Mhm.
actually. Maybe we can do this together. Maybe through you, and we can put it out there and see who's interested. And then when we get there, what we could do is we could go through the places that I visited in the documentary. So go to Ouida, which is where
Mhm.
the Africans were taken and put on the boats. Go to Abome, which is the center of the kingdom where the palaces were in the movie. If you remember where those red buildings were, and we can go and see the entire area over the course of a few days. I am happy to figure that out. So maybe Court, we need to
Look,
together.
I'm here. I'm with you.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think it's a great idea, and it doesn't. Well, a lot of people are going to be interested, but the ones that are really going to go, it's only going to be far few in between. Like
That's good.
I
That's
know
fine
that,
by me because I don't think
right?
I can. Yeah, maybe I need
No,
to
I
do it.
think a solid like 5, no more than 10.
Oof. Even yeah,
A
five would be
solid 5 to 6.
5 to 6. Yeah,
Yes.
5 to 6. Okay.
And I think I think it's amazing. And I'm gonna be one of the ones.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna help you.
Okay.
Whatever
Okay.
you need me to do, I got you. But I think that is an amazing idea. And
I
I
think
think
so.
even um I always say, like, with us over here in the States that has never been to Africa, it's as if, the States are our adoptive parents,
Hmm.
but we all have a yearning to know where we came
Where you
from.
really came from.
And, just to see, like, my features and to see it in, where it originated from, I think it's priceless.
Mm.
And that
Okay.
yearning, I think a lot of people here in the States have. And it's who am I really? And it goes far beyond my parents or grandparents. It's where did I originate from?
Mm.
In my
Mm.
melanin in my hair. Like where is this? And yeah, I think that's something special and I think it's priceless.
Mm.
And I'm here for the journey.
Mm. Well, let's make it happen. We
Yeah.
do it.
Okay.
I think we're doing this.
I
For me,
think
it's.
so. And like I said, unity, us together, us building, because we're divided.
Mm.
And I'm seeing even in YouTube the division of Africans and African Americans. And I think it's because
Frustrating.
well, we don't know our history. We
Mm.
don't know, and we're not. I think once we start African Americans knowing our history and where we came from, it gives us a sense of pride and our identities as well.
Mm.
But I think even with Africans, for them knowing our struggle and a lot of things that has happened here to us and knowing our triumphs and things like that, I just think we need to learn more about each other.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And, me understanding you and you understanding me,
Yeah.
and our bigger purpose is for us to unite.
Mhm, mhm,
No one would know that you're not from Tennessee if you didn't talk. They would look
okay,
at you as a random Negro around the block.
mhm.
Same here, so
So, yeah, you
yeah.
show up in, Nigeria, they'll just assume you're A Calabar girl from
What
the east. Calabar girls are
is that?
Look at where Calabar
Like
women
that kind
are
of
like.
bad girl. I was like, wait a minute, what's that?
Calabar, Calabar. Those are like the women from the southeast. Those people who know. Anyway, it's a compliment. It's a
Okay,
compliment. You look like
I'm
you're
writing it
Calabar.
down because I'm gonna Google.
Calabar. Yeah. But you're right. We need to. Even Galactic Soul is saying it. Think about it. Yeah, you're right, man.
Yeah.
The thing is, I've never thought about. No, not that I've never thought. I've always thought about it, but I was just like, I don't know if I could do it. That's not my thing. But you can't be about a message which is about, oh, let's go home. I can't keep banging on about it every week and not
Mm-hmm.
facilitate a journey. And I know so many people, and Benin is like, I spent my first like few years of my life in Benin, so I know that
Mm-hmm.
country very well. Um, and it's so rich. It's so
Hmm.
rich culturally. It's tiny little country, but so rich.
Yeah.
And you're from Congo as well. That's the other side,
That was
Congo.
the other side.
I lived in Congo too as a kid.
Yeah.
I did nursery school in Congo, and I will do it. I will do it. I'll do it. Even if it's just like 5
That's
people.
why I came up here today. Yes. I'm
Okay.
excited.
Okay. Listen, I will. No, I mean it. I will.
Okay.
I'll get off this, and I need to get you. I'll get your number actually.
Yeah. I'll
We'll,
send you a message of my information and then
and then we'll plan it because I think, and I also think if you and I commit to go, others will commit to go.
mm-hmm.
I think, and even if it's just you and I and
Yeah.
a handful of others, like I think that's
Like I
yeah.
said, a good, I mean, I'm thinking in my head, I know a good solid 5.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay.
Good solid.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
All right,
No
I'm gonna
problem.
let you go. Congratulations, darling.
Thank you, my love. I appreciate it. Thank you so
Bye.
much for the support. Have a good evening.
You
Or good
too.
day, rather.
Yeah, no, it's still day.
It's like nighttime here. It's like 8,
Oh,
7:30.
well, I'll see you. Thank you.
All right. So we'll talk, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Bye.
Thank you. Whew. You guys have put me on the spot. You guys have put me on the spot. Tito District, how you doing, Tito? Happy Sunday and congrats on the 10K. Appreciate that, my brother. Whew. Courtney's gonna put me on the spot, man. Gail at night, thank you, and I hope yours as well. Oh, sorry. Oops. People having a conversation. Where am I? Galactic Soul, think about it. I'm interested. Ghana. Okay. Ghana is okay. Lizzie, you need to jump on this thing. Stop with the shyness. Far East Nigeria borders Cameroon. Far East Nigeria borders Cameroon. Yeah, oh, you mean Congo? Yeah, absolutely. Lizzie, you need to jump on this. Victoria, my sister, some of the blacks in America were already here though, and I think that is something not taught either. I know I was Kenyan born. It's nice to know where you came from. Yeah, I was born in I'm born in Kenya too, Victoria, as you know. Maybe you know, I don't know. But I'm born in Kenya too. Some of the blacks in America were already here though, and I think that is something not taught either. Yeah, I mean, look, you know about Christopher Columbus's diary. Sorry, not his diary, his journal. For those of you who read They Came Before Columbus, but actually read the actual copy of his diary. He talks about the African people that he saw there trading in black gold tip metal spears. We also know about Abu Bakr and his journey 100 years earlier, coming to that place and settling in the Americas. So there were certainly Africans that existed in that part, but there are also Africans that existed. I think the oldest fossil they have from South America, pre-Columbian fossil, is they call her Maria, a woman. She's also of African descent. So there's no question about that. I think the problem with the trying to identify who was there versus who was taken as a slave, I think, is who was taken as an enslaved person. I think that's the part where, just simply to avoid a heritage which quite a few African Americans have, simply choosing to deny it. I think that's for me where the whole thing about it is I'm not comfortable with, because the we ultimately, one way or another, it's still African descent, still from Africa. Okay. So yeah, everybody needs to travel. Lizzie, I'm not playing around, Lizzie. You need to jump on for 5, even 2 minutes. 2 minutes. You can put a mask on your face if you want. But anyway, so I'm gonna give Lizzie 2 minutes to jump on. Lizzie, Victoria, you two need to jump on. Galactic Soul. These are some of the old timers. You people need to come on. You people stop playing around, man. Oh, I missed out a few. Albert Choice, thank you very much. Thank you, appreciate that. 10K, just the beginning. Let's see where we go. Those of you who are interested in going home, give me a 1. I'll be interested to see. Y'all that are not from the US do not understand the illegal domestic CIA operations that are ran here, where our foreign brothers and sisters are used against us. Absolutely, I talk about it in some of my shorts. Certainly there is a concerted effort to keep us apart. There's no question. And I was talking about this too. I was like, when Haile Selassie was fighting the war against Mussolini 100 years ago, less than 100 years ago, you had African Americans wanting to go and fight for Mussolini, and they were systematically blocked. They even went and took this whole Marcus Garvey's whole Black Star Fleet. They went and made it seem, oh, this is a back to Africa thing. So it made it seem unlike it was. So there's a lot of, I'm very well aware. By the way, I think we are more aware of American history than our own in Africa, by the way, because American history is everywhere. The reason why I grew up in Africa and I speak pretty good English is because of US foreign policy as well as the British colonialism. Because British colonialism, when it ended, wasn't enough to keep us British. Americans stepped in. When I grew up as a kid in the 80s and the 90s in Nigeria, we woke up on Saturday morning. It's the same Cosby Show. It's the same Fresh Prince. In fact, we even watched in the 80s and the 90s, we watched more African-American TV shows that people in England couldn't watch. In fact, when I came, I met my wife. My wife grew up in England. She was like, we never watched any of those shows. Like, they didn't even come on TV. So you forget how influential US Black culture has been, but also how the US has exported their overall culture to us. So we know far more than you think, my brother. We know far more. Easily, the government, through its naturalization system, convinces immigrants to look at us here in the US as enemies, which in turn causes the lack of communication you spoke to. Yes, brother, I appreciate that. Okay, okay, so Lizzie, Albert Choice, we're all interested. Yeah, Victoria, Habari, Victoria. I learned English while in school in Kenya. Yeah, this is what we, this is what we were taught. But okay, all right. So if Lizzie is not going to come on, and Victoria is not going to come on, and Galactic Soul is not going to come on, I'm going to wrap up, okay? Because you guys are paining me. This is hurting me. I want you guys to just, one of you at least needs to come on quickly and just say hello. Just let me see you. That's all. That's all. That's all I'm asking for. Karibu. All right. Okay. So if you're too shy, I understand. No problem. So my people, thank you very much. Like I said, going forward, I'm going to try and do some different things. I'm going to try and do, there's a program I'd like to do about African cinema, where we'll do like a piece. If you go to my I have a channel, Honora Abua, where I used to do these Africa film reviews. So I'll review these classic African films from the 60s, 70s, 80s. So very, very short videos. But I'm thinking of doing more longer form ones. So I'm going to start doing a few more of those and then bringing on a few more guests as time goes on. But again, the channel, I will do a membership package in the next couple of days, hopefully. And those of you who join the membership package, you'll be able to see some exclusive bits of my brand new 4-part series called Kemet. So once again, thank you. I appreciate you all for being here. Victoria, I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to hold you to that. But I appreciate all of you, those who came on, and also those of you who are in the chat, and those who will watch it later. But in general, everybody who subscribed, everybody who subscribed, I appreciate you for doing so. Lizzie, what do you mean your shyness? Okay, no problem. I forgive you. I forgive you. Next time, hopefully when we hit 100K, I'll see you. Anyway, thank you very much, my people. Have a great day. Those of you who it's if it's evening for you, have a great evening and enjoy your week. And I'll be in touch very soon. Blessings.